Start.
Jane.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namaskaram to Mamai Garu.
Namaskaram.
This session, we will have a preliminary session on spiritual practice, how people do spiritual practice, what are the ways, what are the methods the many people practice their spiritual sadhana. In the first instance, I would like to ask you one simple question. When we all know that God knows about our needs and He knows what is good for us, then why should we then seek something from God when we pray? Please answer.
If I feel so certain that God knows better about my needs, then I will never pray. He knows what is good for me, and what all He does is for my welfare, for my good. If I have got that conviction, I will never pray. There is no necessity to pray at all. He knows what is necessary for me, what is good for me. Also, not only that, whatever He does, it is for my good. That is the conviction I must have as a devotee, as a real devotee. If I am convinced in the existence of God and His mercy upon His devotees or all the jivas, all the creatures, all the people in the world, then why should I pray? He knows what is good for me, what is to be done with me. It is for Him to decide to save me or to punish me.
Okay.
That is the attitude a devotee must have. But we play. Why? Because we don't have sufficient faith in God.
Okay. So if we have conviction that God will take care of us, there is no necessity for us to seek something from Him.
Tell me.
Okay. My next question, Mawagaru, is in the course of spiritual practice, we have seen that some sadhakas do not find any progress in their sadhana, whereas some seemingly reach an advanced stage. When both of them are putting in the same amount of practice, why is this difference that some sadhakas do progress well and some remain where they are? Please explain.
The answer is simple. A sadhaka whose past tendencies are pure, he will progress quickly. A sadhaka whose past tendencies they are not so pure, he must take more time. It all depends on his eligibility, quality, or yogyata, that is what they say. How he gets qualified to progress in the spiritual practice. He must be pure at heart, pure in mind, and the purity of mind and the moral attitude, all those things they are dictated by past tendencies. So perhaps a sadhaka has done much practice in his past life. So he is already pure to a great extent. He is eligible to progress. He progresses very quickly. Sometimes even a word from the master makes him spiritually advanced. Whereas, even though a person lives with the master, lives in the presence of the master for a long time, his past tendencies come in the way of his progress, and he still remains at the same stage. And sometimes there are instances where, like Perumal Swami, they turn against the master, they find fault with the master also.
Oh,
It all depends on his past tendencies.
okay. The next question I want to ask Mahagaru is that, is it necessary for a practitioner to do self-assessment periodically? And if yes, what are the indicators for that? Please answer.
Self-assessment. You must know the sadhaka should subtly assess what is the stage at which he stands. It is quite necessary. Unless he does so, he feels sometimes wrongly that is already advanced. There is a danger for the sadhaka to feel that he is very far advanced because he is able for a long time and is serving his master for a long period. So he is better qualified than others who are juniors to him. He doesn't assess where he stands. He doesn't know what is the stage at which he stands. So self-assessment is sometimes difficult for a person who feels that he is more qualified. He doesn't do the self-assessment also. So to do self-assessment also, the sadhana must have some maturity.
Okay.
It's not so easy. I feel I am always right in my own way. The other person is wrong. When I think when I introspect, then I may feel that something is wrong with me and I make amends like that. So to do self-assessment, though it is essential for some people, self-assessment becomes difficult because of his hypocrisy or some other past tendencies.
Okay, if some self-assessment is necessary for some sadhakas, what can be the indicators for him to do self-assessment? I mean, we have read that there are some lampposts, the teachings of Maharshi are some like guiding lights or lampposts like that. And if I have to do some self-assessment, what are the indicators that I should measure?
I don't follow.
If I have to do some self-assessment, what are the parameters that on which I should do self-assessment? Whether it is the way that I am reacting, or whether it is the way I have understood the text, or whether it is the way I am putting into practice, whether all these are the parameters for me to do a self-assessment, or is there any other method for that?
The first thing is, am I feel peaceful with myself? If I am peaceful mentally, it's first indication that I am progressing. Not only that, if I nurture any ill feeling towards people around me, that is a sure indication that there is something wrong in me.
Okay.
There are so many things. If I feel repentant to what has happened in my life in the past, if it was really wrong, then I must feel sorry and I should not repeat that. So past memories sometimes teach you much. So not only that, how I deal with people around me. Am I treating them like equally like myself or like girl. If a man feels the other man is greater than himself, that is, every person he meets must be treated as an incarnation of Ramana or God. That is a most important thing for a sadhaka. If he fails to do so, and if he finds fault with everything, that is also an indication that he is not doing well.
Not
So there
progressing.
are so many things.
Okay. Okay. The next question I want to ask you is, why is that many sadhakas face difficulty in putting theory into practice even after extensive sadhana? Please answer.
It is the universal experience of every sadhaka. Every sadhaka feels like that. Why? I feel that I know pretty well that I must speak truth, but in practice I don't speak truth. I know that it is wrong to do harm to others, but I hurt others with my words, with my deeds, and even with my thoughts. There's ill feelings about others. Why? It is only because of my past tendencies. Everything depends from the. A man behaves. He is more propelled. The actions are propelled by his past tendencies. So, if they are very powerful, then he feels difficult in putting into practice the theory he has learned. He is unable to put it into practice. It is my experience, so I can say so. It's very difficult to put the theory into practice because the past tendencies come in the way. So, to put into practice what I have learned at the feet of the master, it requires the grace of our master and God also. So, I can also say that grace is wanted. Grace is, that is and how does grace descend? Grace descends when the sadhaka is mature enough, is good enough to receive that. He must be ready to receive. Grace is always flowing. That is what Ramana told also.
Okay.
So I find it difficult to put into practice what I have learned because my past tendencies, old habits die hard. So really it is the most different thing in the life of every sadhaka.
Okay. Okay, Mavagaru, now I want to ask some personal question. When you started your spiritual practice many years ago, what was your immediate goal?
Because I was in the RSS earlier, there was a spiritual tendency in my heart and mind. The work of RSS itself is a spiritual pursuit. That was the conviction with which I worked in Sangha. When I am living in Sangha work, I feel it is a spiritual practice. And after hearing the speeches of Swami Chinmayananda, also this about Gita and Karma Yoga, etc., even my profession becomes a mission. So that is a basic understanding I have got when I was in the RSS. So jumping into the lap of Bhagavan Ramana was a natural outcome, and RSS life was a preparation for that. That is what I felt, and I felt home. I felt at home. I was at home. So it was not difficult for me to know what I wanted. I want to do upasana, to worship the Lord Ramana for the sake of self-realization, that is, knowing the truth about myself, knowing myself. So it was there earlier also. What is the work of RSS Sunday? That is, what was taught by Sri Guruji. It was the worshipping the motherland. Why? For the sake of self-fulfillment. For the sake of my self-fulfillment. My life becomes fulfilled. I feel realized. So my life becomes fruitful. In that way, it helped me the world self-realization. That is, Bhagavan's teaching, it became evident and it became more clear in Ramana's life.
Okay. My next question is, Mahagaru, after many years of spiritual practice, especially Ramana Tattva, do you find any difference in the way you react when faced with a difficulty now as compared to before?
Certainly, there is a lot of a great change in my attitude towards people and towards the happenings in my life. I cannot say it is a total transformation, but there is change in my attitude towards life, towards people around me, and towards people around my relatives, etc. I can quote an example.
Yeah, please.
Change of Ramu has been a great problem in my life. You know that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, really because of Ramana's grace, I felt I have done something wrong to him in the past life. I have to compensate or pay. I am being punished by God through him. So I must repay for that. That is one change. Another thing is, I convince myself. I tried to convince, not completely, that Ramana in the form of Ramu is teaching me a lesson in my life. So really it is a change. Otherwise, I would have burned with great resentment, and I would have punished him like anything. But I convinced myself. So many things like that. No, there is another example also I can say, but I don't want to say it through this video. A person dislikes me. He has great hatred towards me. How should I react? So I thought, on my part, I should feel that I should love him. And it is for him to decide how to behave with me. So if I am pure in my heart and clear in my mind, then I am peaceful with myself at least. And sometimes, in fact, it creates more hatred in the other man's mind because I am not reacting. That is another thing. But anyway, as far as myself, I am concerned, I am peaceful. Though, partially, because I am sadhaka, I am not Siddha person. But the attitude has changed. I am quite at peace with myself, with anybody, in relation to any person. Of course, I am certainly, initially, I feel bad, but I forget in the beginning, but then I recollect and come to the, and the mental balance comes again. It is with effort. That is what I am telling. It's
That's
not
true, because
effortless. It is not effortless response. Effortlessly, it's not like because Ramana is different. Many people are different. I'm only sadhaka.
It's
I
true,
did
it reminds me.
use my mental peace. That's all. That is the concern. The only proof of my correct attitude. So,
Reminds, yeah.
Ramana's teachings helped me in that way. Really, I feel blessed to know the teachings of Ramana and to try to put them in practice. Though I may fail, certainly, and one may say, you are already 86 years old, you are at the fag end of your life. Still you feel so. Yes, certainly I feel so. It's not the end of my life. The life continues. I take another birth to continue my practice. What is that?
Okay, it reminds me of a story which we have read about Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, that a person was there who always used to abuse him in front of everybody, and always he used to find fault with Ramana. But when the person died, Ramana had only good words to say about him. It reminds me of that story. What the instance, what you're telling me, reminds me of that story.
I read it in Guruvachappai. It's a great lesson.
Yes.
It's a great lesson. He got only good words about every person around him. Ever about Perumal Swami, we know. Perumal, I am with you, even in Naraka, in hell. I said, I go to hell, Bhagavan, because I have done such wrong to you. Then Bhagavan told him, I will be with you even in hell.
Even in hell.
All these things help me in adjusting to the situations around me.
Okay, now my next question to you, Mahagaru, is that after reading so many books, writing many essays, and having discussed this subject many times, did you ever feel that all that has been read is of no use and to remain silent is the only way? Please explain.
I feel to read many books, to speak or to write essays is a part of my sadhana. So they helped me. Of course, too much reading is not necessary. And to keep silent is not my way. However, many times I felt I must stop reading or stop writing and keep silent. But the nature makes me to write and read and speak. Anyway, I many times feel I should keep silent. Of course, I cannot. It's better to be silent. Too much reading is also a burden to the mind, to accumulation of knowledge and information overload. That is what they say in the internet. So I felt sometimes like that. And till now, I didn't do that. And I don't hope so. I don't hope to anything like that in the future. Of course, I tried, but all the efforts were futile, not successful.
Okay. My next question would be, Mahagaru, can knowledge that cannot be gained by reading extensively be obtained by only remaining silent?
Repeat, please repeat.
The knowledge that cannot be gained by reading extensively, can it be gained by remaining silent? A person reads so many
Knowledge
books.
can be gained, or I will get a spiritual experience, not by reading books. That is certain, and that I know pretty well. But God's grace is necessary for getting a spiritual experience. So, keeping silent is good. Is the best way, is the best sadhana. If we can do that, even to keep silent, God's grace should be there. Otherwise, our effort may not be successful. Because can I remain silent when my nature makes me talkative or writer as a writer? Why? Why? Because I lack God's grace. I pray for the grace of God to make me silent. To be silent is the best way to be successful in spiritual practice. No doubt about it. But it is not so easy as we speak. Willful Swami remained silent for the last several years. Really, it's a great thing. And not speaking, Vang Maunam, it is a doorway towards Mano the mental silence.
Silence.
So, certainly he has reached a higher stage, that is what I felt. But I tried many times to keep silent, but I could not, so I left it.
My final question, Mahagaru, is that when there is so much turbulence around us in this present world, we are bombarded with so many problems and so many, as you said, information overload. How can a person remain silent? What is the best way to do it? Please explain.
Pray for God's grace and do instinctively, act instinctively. Pray for mercy and act instinctively, and pray God for making my instincts proper and pure. A man, every person acts in the world emotionally, instinctively. Even if 100 times I feel that I should do like this, also I should not do like that. But when the moment comes, my instinct makes me in some way. It acts. So instincts must be purified, and that depends on the grace of God. So the only way that is there for every sadhaka is to pray God for mercy, for grace, to make me silent or to act properly in the world with the people, or to respond to the sunset, respond to the situation around me. Instincts, habits, and the habits are very difficult to control. So what to do, we know. How to do, we know. But we don't do. We act instinctively and emotionally. And this is because of our past tendencies. However much you study or you practice, if the God's grace is not there, your actions will not be properly motivated. Proper motivation. We know what is Karma Yoga. We know everything. We can speak for hours together, for hours on any topic. But why we are behaving like this? Because our past tendencies control our actions, not anything, not our theoretical knowledge. That is got from, that's why I got from books. So, how to rectify myself? Really speaking, it is not in my control. God should help me. My efforts are useless. We think 100 times to behave properly, but all this part of the movement, we behave indifferently. It's all according to our past tendencies, our instincts. So that is my experience as a sadhaka. We can't do anything without grace of God. And
Grace
so
of God.
constantly we pray to God, Lord Ramana. That is what I think of his name, I remember his name, I repeat the Sotas Guru Vaja, Guru Rupa, Sandasanam, Guru, etc. So nothing else, we can do nothing else. That is ultimately what my conclusion. My instincts, my emotions, my actions, they are not in my control. They are dictated by my past tendencies, and the past tendencies cannot be purified without the mercy, without the grace of God. Without God's grace.
So you mean to say that
We
we
did
should pray to
not,
God?
we did not feel sorry for that. We did not, I don't feel sorry, and I don't repent for what I'm doing. It is only because God's grace is wanting. It's happening like that.
So we should pray to God to make us behave in a proper manner. It is in a other way of praying to God to erase our past tendencies.
Certainly.
Do you mean to say that?
Certainly.
Okay.
He can erase anything. He can do away. He can also eradicate even your prarabdha if he wants.
Yes.
And we want to have written also.
Okay.
Not only past things, not only sanchita, not only agami, but the prarabdha also can be removed. The example of 3 times in the Anubandha Sabdas. So he wants, he can do. So I feel all my actions, all my deeds, and thoughts, that are the consequent results of my past tendencies, and for that, I pray that they must be purified.
Okay. Okay, Mahagaru, I think we'll end this session today. We had a great discussion. The ultimate goal for all sadhakas is only to pray God to erase our past tendencies and modify and purify our actions in this world, in this present life.
Exactly.
So I thank you very much for your time, sir, and we'll speak on some other topic the next time. We'll end this topic now. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.